Hello my fellow family foodie friends. Today I have 5 dinners that I had last week in my What's for Dinner. You can see the grocery haul of this that I shared on yesterday's video, but we're going to get right into the vegetable soup. I'm excited to share all these meals with you. My personal favorite is the paninis, so stay tuned so you can see that one. One of my favorite things about making vegetable soup and crusty bread is getting it ready the night before. So it helps me to have everything set when I wake up in the morning, and it makes for a very easy day to just finish it off. I am adding in frozen corn, frozen peas, half of a very large bag of the Normandy blend from, I think it's Bird's Eye. I got it at Walmart. A large 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes, 2 cans of Campbell's tomato juice. I add in beef broth, and then I can list all of my seasonings below, but it's pretty basic. I have onion powder, minced onion, Italian seasoning, and salt and pepper, as well as some garlic salt. So I am just mixing it up, putting on my Instant Pot lid, and I stick that right in the fridge and it'll be ready in the morning. And now I'm making my overnight crusty bread. This is super simple. You get all-purpose flour, salt, yeast, and warm water. You mix it all up and you let it sit for at least 12 to 18 hours. I always get it ready the night before I want to make it, let it sit out all night long, and I'm making sure that it kind of has like an insulated between towels area to sit. I don't want it on my cool countertops, and I just cover it and let it sit all night long. I actually have a video on how to make that bread. I can link that in the comments, but it is easy, and you can see it has risen so much over the evening. And I also have set my soup on the slow cook setting for 7 hours in my Instant Pot. This is much later in the day. I am about to cook my bread, but you have to preheat your Dutch oven for half an hour empty in the oven so that it's nice and hot when you put the dough in. And while that's preheating, you want to let your dough sit out and rise again. So I have floured my surface, shaped my dough, and 30 minutes later it is ready to go into a very hot Dutch oven. I love using my Dutch ovens to do lots of things, but one of my favorites is make crusty bread. So back into the oven it goes with the lid on. You bake it for 30 minutes, then you take the lid off and you put it back in the oven for 15 more minutes, and this is the beautiful bread you get. My slow cooker ended 3 minutes ago. You can see that here. I had tasted the broth and I decided to add a little bit more seasoning. I added more garlic salt, salt and pepper, and I added more minced onion. You can really add the seasonings to your preference, but those are really good basic ones to use in a vegetable soup. And I am topping my soup off with my favorite cheese blend. It is Asiago, Romano, and Parmesan, I believe. And it's a wonderful bag from Sam's Club. I don't have a Sam's membership, so my in-laws have given it to me, but it's my favorite. I put on everything recently. But there it is, topped with cheese. It's a very healthy soup. Other than the corn, which is a grain, it is all vegetables. But you can see I have my buttered bread and my soup, and it's such a nice, comforting meal. And my whole family will eat it and gobble it up. Moving on. So it is 8:30 in the morning, and I'm getting my bacon ready, and I pulled out a frozen loaf of Italian bread. So doing stuff like this in the morning makes making dinner in the evening easier. So I do things when I have pockets of time. That's one of the important things about meal planning, is if you know what you're gonna have and you have the ingredients, you can make them when you have pockets of time, which makes making dinner easier. And if making dinner is easier, you're more likely to do it every day. So through the magic of editing, my bacon is done in a mere second time frame, and I am now putting it on a plate and saving it for later because I don't need this bacon at 9 in the morning. I needed it for my dinner. So into the fridge it goes. So I trimmed a piece of chicken for later in the week and put that in my Pyrex container, and then I have a single breast that is just trimmed and sliced thin. I'm putting seasoning on it, and I just stuck it right in the oven just like that and baked it, and it was perfect, as you see there, later in the day for paninis. And my daughter actually made these potatoes as our side. She just seasoned them and cubed them and put them in the oven. We did it at 375 for about an hour, and she was totally in charge of it and loved it. I didn't really get in her face with the camera, but I should have, because she would have loved it, but I just really honestly didn't think of it because her doing it helped me save time. But I am making a balsamic vinegar, olive oil, Italian seasoning dip. My husband likes to have that on sandwiches and subs. And then I am just putting plain old olive oil on each side of the Italian bread that I sliced for paninis. And we do not have a panini press, but I have a George Foreman grill. It's something that we got years and years ago at a bridal shower. Actually, that might be a theme today because you'll see another bridal shower gift that I still use. But we use that to make paninis or to grill chicken in the winter. There's lots of uses for it, but here I am assembling the first of our 5 paninis. All 5 of us in my family like different toppings, and that's one of the cool things about this dinner. If you guys have seen my other What's for Dinners, you know I like dinners that I can customize per person because everyone in my family likes to eat differently. I love every topping, everything that's available. I want to eat it. My husband likes plain items. One of my daughters doesn't like to eat meat. So we all are different, and having paninis is something that I can customize. Having paninis with goat cheese was a suggestion I got from my sister during a meal plan with me session on one of my Friday lives, and that is where we got this idea. And oh my goodness, I loved having the goat cheese. I had the garlic herb from Happy Farms at Aldi, and it was amazing. So these are the first 2 paninis that came off of our George Foreman. It looks like they came off of a press, and now I'm putting the next 2 on. I'm slicing them up. That is one of the only things that was kind of awful about making paninis for dinner is you want to eat them when they're fresh and hot, but I could only make 2 at a time, and there's 5 of us, so it wasn't the easiest thing. My 9-year-old with her seasoned potatoes that she made all by herself. I was so proud of her. We had our paninis, potatoes, and grapes, and it was my favorite dinner of the week. We are now moving on to burritos. This was another thing that I prepped early in the morning, which made for a later dinner being easier. And I just stuck my trimmed chicken breasts into the Little Dipper crock pot. There are no settings on here, but it's perfect to cook a single breast covered in salsa. We're the Spice Girls. So I'm teaching my 7-year-old how to make rice in the Instant Pot. I have made a version of this rice many times. I perfected it after seeing many recipes. I whittled down to what I liked about each, and now this is how I make Spanish rice. I have linked my video below, but I was teaching my 7-year-old how to make it. It's a super easy dish, but she was super proud of how it came out, and at the end my 2-year-old ended up stirring it, so he thinks he made it too. But this was about 9 hours after we started the chicken breasts, and we were getting to the rest of the dinner. So here you can see my chicken is nice and soft. I was able to just shred that single breast with 2 forks. I thought this was really good, and the flavor was really nice with the salsa. We used the Great Value chili and lime salsa. I think that's the flavor. And even though my husband actually really did like the flavor of the chicken, he prefers more of a like grilled chunk, like a fajita type chicken. So he did request that we don't do shredded chicken again for burritos. He would prefer it to be a little more dry. So here we are getting our rice all set, and I'm also seasoning up a can of black beans. I'm just putting some cumin in there and some garlic salt and sticking it on the stove. Nothing real fancy. And now I'm getting all of our fresh ingredients ready. I have peppers sliced up, cilantro, onion. I'm dicing up bacon that was left over from earlier in the week. And I also have jarred salsa, shredded cheese. You can see I have a pack of guacamole that I buy at Aldi. And I also have Aldi tortillas. So this is the dinner that we had, and everyone again can assemble their burrito exactly as they like it and have chips and salsa on the side. It was a really delicious meal. And it was actually inspired again from a suggestion that I got from meal planning on a live. Someone suggested black bean soup, and I wasn't interested in making black bean soup because I knew we were having another soup this week, but black bean burritos were perfect because again, one of my daughters doesn't eat meat, but she loves to eat beans. And we are moving on to my husband's favorite meal of the week, cornflake potatoes. This was his birthday dinner, and it was actually from Sunday the 29th, so it is fresh, hot off the press. The first thing you do is melt half of a stick of butter on a baking sheet, and while that is melting in a preheated oven, don't forget about it, you will burn the butter and your pan. I am peeling and slicing into thick slices 5 very large russet potatoes. You can see they look kind of like wedges, kind of like French fries. You want them to be hearty and thick, but you also don't want them to be too thick where it's going to take 6 years to bake them. I bake these about 50 minutes exactly and at 350 degrees. It's just a few step process. So first you have the butter in the oven melting, and once your potatoes are all set and the butter's melted, you're going to take your potato, I don't even know, wedges, sticks, whatever you want to call them, and lay them in a single file line, people. The potatoes are on the pan. You're going to add 2 more tablespoons of butter into little patties on top of these potatoes, and you're going to put them back in the oven for 20 minutes. Okay, so the cornflake topping has corn flakes, paprika, seasoned salt, onion powder, garlic powder, and chili powder, and a whole lot of cheddar cheese. So I will be mixing them. I'm adding 4 cups. I'm adding 2 cups of cheddar cheese. I'm doing a tablespoon of paprika, and then a teaspoon of everything else. Really, all of these spices work well together, but it is something that you can definitely play with, and if you like it a little more garlicky or a little more oniony, don't be afraid to change up the ratio. So this is how I test to see if it's good. You have to have the smokiness of the paprika, and it has to be salty to offset the butter. Other than that, as long as you like the taste, it's perfect. Here is a favorite kitchen tip of mine. Use butter wrappers, fold them up, save them in your fridge, and then when you need to grease a pan, you just take one of your butter wrappers that you otherwise would have just thrown away, and you can easily grease your pan. While my potatoes are baking, we are making Rice Krispie treats. That was my husband's birthday cake of request. So we have 6 tablespoons of butter in the pan. That was my son's job, and he is helping me melt it and stir it. Then my 7-year-old added 2 10-ounce bags of marshmallows into the pan, and she is helping to stir that. I did have to come in with a bit of muscle at the end. And then my 9-year-old is adding in the 12 cups of Rice Krispies. We doubled the Rice Krispie brand recipe, which is 3 tablespoons butter, 10 ounces of marshmallows, which is thankfully a single bag, and 6 cups of Rice Krispies. We doubled it because I know my girls will want to take them in their lunch this week as a last, and they're having friends over tomorrow. So I am now taking parchment paper and squishing it into the pan so that they're nice and flat, and they will cool and set while we are eating our dinner. But now it's ready, and I was already in the kitchen, so it worked well. And my kids had to help me. So after the 20 minutes of potato bake time, I am flipping all the potatoes over and making sure that they're not sticking and it's getting evenly cooked. And you can tell when it is buttery or not. So you want to add 2 more tablespoons of butter cut up into pieces on your potatoes. If you're counting, that is an entire stick at this point. And then you're going to add the cornflake potato topping right on top. So as I mentioned, this is my husband's favorite. He requests this pretty much every Father's Day and birthday. I don't hate it. I love the topping, but it's way too, I don't know, rich for me, and it's not worth the calories. I just would eat so many other things before I'd eat that. So I make it because I love him, not because I love cornflake potatoes. And you can see I am just chopping up the Rice Krispies for later. And now I'm going a bit rogue, which happens a lot in my kitchen, but I'm just making some sort of a sauce. I added a 1/4 cup of honey. I was going to add a 1/4 cup of barbecue sauce, but I didn't have enough. So then I washed out the bottle with a little bit of apple cider to get the rest of it out. I added some sriracha. I added some red pepper, ground red pepper, and I just made some sort of a spicy sweet sauce, and I used store-bought popcorn chicken, which we are actually fans of. We don't do it very often, but it sounded good with cornflake potatoes. My kids like to have the plain, and my husband and I like the spicy ones. You just saw me test it there. And the last 10 minutes of my cornflake potatoes baking, I add that in the oven just to heat them back up. And you can see my taters came out looking nice and crispy. I love the color of the paprika. Here's the chicken warmed up again. Again, I just cheated and I bought that at my local Meijer deli. They sell it there for $1.99, and it was a bit of a splurge and easy. So here are our spicy popcorn chickens with our cornflake potatoes, and ranch to dip all of it in. And since I told you guys that cornflake potatoes aren't my personal favorite because of the high calories, I made a salad and I put my chicken on top. If you saw my recent Aldi haul, you saw I got a mac and cheese pizza half off, and it was going to be a in case I need a pinch dinner. Well, it happened sooner than I thought it would because my husband got stuck at work, which ruined me doing a different dinner for the night, and I needed something that I can make easy, and the kids and I were going to go to a local park to pass the time, so I made the pizza. Hey guys, so I have never heard of macaroni and cheese pizza before. I had heard great things about it from an Aldi Facebook group that I'm in, so I wanted to give it a try since we found it for half off. And I thought I'd just give you a little demo taste test live. I've never tried this before, and we're gonna go for it. Ooh, hot. I wouldn't buy this again. It's not bad, but I'm not like the biggest mac and cheese lover, but I am a huge pizza lover. And it's just too different. There's no tomatoey any element to this. I'm interested to see if my kids like it. I will not be hoping to buy this again. If they like it and it could be like a lunch for them, maybe if it was half off again, but eh. So we sliced up 4 apples and made salads to go with this pizza that no one liked. Well, we've ended on a sweet note. If you like this What's for Dinner, make sure you let me know below what dinner you're gonna try. And if you like these kind of meals, I have linked my playlist to past What's for Dinners that I think you might like. Ciao down and ciao.